Right, a warm welcome, everybody. It is such an honor to have all of you joining us today. It's one of these fantastic days where we start on a journey that, well, we can't really do it alone. What we have to do is we have to bring in our partners, suppliers, individuals that help us in this particular journey. Now, the journey today that we're going to talk about is one that goes around social media. You see, we all are using social media. In fact, I think more people spend more time on social media than actually doing work. They spend more time on social media than they actually sleep. They spend more time on social media than time with their friends and family. That is how powerful social media has become part of our life. And in fact, within South Africa, social media is really the buzzword that goes around all over the place. If you find somebody that's not using social media, well, I wonder what rock they've been sleeping under for the last couple of years. But the big thing is, if social media is so powerful, how do we take what we do at eXp with our properties, with our brand being ourselves, and how do we take that and move it into the social media platform? Well, option number one, and this is the option that I think most of us fall into the trap. We create a post, which we spend probably 3 to 4 days trying to perfect. Once we get it up there, we think this is fantastic, but nobody's liked it. Nobody's commented on it. So what do we do next? Well, there's a little blue button and it says boost. In fact, that boost is actually a social media term to say, give me your credit card so I can take your money. And it does exactly that. And then you get 1 or 2 likes, a few little comments out of it, and you wonder why you're not getting that high impact. Well, that's the reason why we've actually partnered up with a company that is the OGs of when it comes to, I love that term, the OG of actual social media. In fact, I want to say, have created bits and pieces within the metaverse that every single one of us are using today. As much as they don't take the acclaimed that they are the originators of a certain feature, but if you think of where it's led on to today, I think they had a high impact. So joining me today, well, it's been a long time since we've had this conversation. It's Arthur from Flow. Arthur, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, and yourself, Stuart?
No, always fantastic. So Flow, give us the real high level overview, because for many of us that may be new, they kind of go, Flow, who is Flow and why should we trust Flow? Give us the
Yeah,
behind the scenes from start to where you are now.
cool. So Flow is the high level submission is Flow is a prop tech platform that automates social media advertising. Big words to just say, essentially, we've developed software that allows you to automatically create ads that go onto Meta. So Meta being Facebook and Instagram. So it means that you don't have to hire a graphic designer to make something for you, or like Stuart mentioned, go into Canva and create something for 3 hours. Our software can automatically create something for you based on a few prompts that you put in. And then without hiring a campaign manager that specializes in Meta, it can also set up a highly targeted advert for you that can run on Meta, target people, and generate your desired outcomes for you. Now, Stuart mentioned quite a few interesting things in the beginning of his monologue that I think are quite worthy of pointing out. So number one, the average South African actually spends 3.5 hours per day on social media. Why is that important to us? It's the space where you can find someone and catch their dedicated attention more than anywhere else. So think about if you compare it to a bin advert next to the road. That person drives past that bin advert in the morning and again at night, right? You're catching them for 15 seconds of their day. Where you have this platform where you can catch their attention for up to 3 hours per day as they're scrolling through their socials. That's number one. Number two is you have a tangible call to action. So the other thing that Stuart mentioned is when you use that boost button, you're getting your likes and your engagements and all kinds of stuff like that, which is fantastic. But what's the tangible value you're getting out of it? And with these sponsored adverts, what you're getting is someone seeing your ad, clicking on it, going through to your listings and actually viewing your listings and potentially booking a viewing with you. So it's about those little nuances in terms of the different things you can do with our tech that makes it so valuable to you. And then the last thing that Stuart mentioned that I also thought was quite nice to highlight is our previous company before we became Flow was Popeye Media. We were one of the first resellers of Facebook in Africa, and we actually helped develop the share button. So the button that you see as it is now, we had some influence in terms of developing that, which may seem small, but it's a massive feature in $1 billion company if you think about it.
So there it is. A little bit of an OG that's come all this particular way. So, you're looking at social media space, and social media space has so many different areas. Why has Flow put so much focus into the property sector? Because most agents aren't people that want to spend a huge amount of money on it, but they don't get it right. Why is it that you saw this particular opportunity and said, all right, let's go in and help the agents, and it's been extremely successful? Why?
And that's quite a good question, though, Stuart. So when you service industries like automotive, etc., the way the industry is set up is completely different to real estate. Real estate, in a sense, is very fragmented. If you look at something like automotive, it's a dealership that does the marketing on behalf of their sales agents, where they run promotional ads and they generate the leads coming into the business. It works like that with most industries. Where real estate is slightly different is your agent has your mandate on the property. They are promoting the property. They are getting people through to it. And they're essentially doing all of the work from A to B. Now, because this is so fragmented, a lot of that marketing, for example, also lies on the agent's shoulders. So what the reason we developed this specifically for agents is we wanted to reduce that time for them spent on doing this so that they can focus on what they do best, which is selling. This is set up in the background. You don't have to worry about it. It does everything for you. You focus on what you do best.
So this is like a fantastic way and a fantastic tool for agents. But the big question that starts to come through is, okay, great. I have my property, which is based in, let's say it's on, what's in Sandton. But I'm looking for a specific audience that might be in maybe KZN, maybe that's in Cape Town. Can I use the Flow platform to kind of target buyers in different areas as well, not just around the area that I'm operating?
100% yes. So when you're setting up your advert, Stuart, I know you said we'll limit our screen sharing today, but I just
Go
wanted to
for it.
quickly share an example over here from an ad that Christine Appel has set up, for example. This is a property that's located in Durbanville, but Christine, as an agent in the area, she knows her audience better than anyone else. She knows the type of person that's going to buy a 4.5 million rand home in Durbanville. And we can see here that she's targeted Durbanville specifically because that's her ideal audience. Maybe I'm not from Cape Town. I don't know Cape Town very well, but maybe it's a case of Brackenfell doesn't really meet that LSM that she's looking for. So she's avoided that area. But then we can see she's also targeted Parel. Now, once again, she knows her audience better than anyone else. Maybe it's a lot of people who, from the Parel, as we say in Afrikaans, are moving to Cape Town because that's where they are currently working or residing or anything like that. So you can geo-target based on what you know in terms of your audience. And then where we come in and we do the heavy lifting is all down here where it says buyers, interests, and behaviors. If this was a property to rent, it would have automatically changed to tenants. But essentially, what we're doing is we are doing all of the heavy lifting for you in terms of targeting. People that are spending time on property 24, if they have interest in behaviors that relate to buying property, bond originators, anything to do with property specifically, we are automatically putting those interest overlays in for you and making sure we target them. And that's a rolling interest overlay that our dedicated team of campaign managers constantly update for us. So we're always looking for the best audience in terms of buyers that we can give you to advertise for. So in a nutshell, to answer Stuart's question, yes, you can definitely do geo-targeting based on where you know your audience. And if you're in Cape Town, the big buzzword at the moment is immigration, for example. You can definitely have a property in Cape Town and advertise it in Johannesburg. The tech does allow you to do that. You can also target internationally. However, that's a whole different kettle of fish. So if you get to that stage that that's something you want to do, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to consult you. We'll guide you. Doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just our expert knowledge that we're happy to share with you.
All right. So I've got a question on that because we're the real estate agents. We are the professionals. We know the industry. You guys are basically, you're kind of the IT guys that sits behind laptops looking at code. How is it that you know more about our target audience than us? I mean, I know my audience is normally about 35 years old, so maybe 45 years old. They've maybe got one or two kids. How do you guys get to know all of that stuff to so much detail that you can find my target audience?
So it's actually because we're a bunch of IT nerds sitting behind computers. It's down to numbers, Stuart. So we are running property adverts focused on the property industry. And there's certain metrics we look at for performance. So I don't want to get too technical, but Meta is an auctioning platform. So essentially, you're spending money for people's attention. And the kind of people you're looking for is based on those interests. Now, if your interests are super accurate, what you're going to find is that your ad will find the right type of people quite quickly who are going to see your ad, click on it, go through to the landing page to view the property, and potentially convert into a lead. If it's quite off, if your interest overlayers are not very accurate, what you're going to find is a lot of people are going to see the advert, but very few are going to click on them because Meta's auctioning algorithm is adjusting and it's going, shit, I need to spend more money for more people to see the advert. Instead of going, these are the kinds of people I'm looking for. If they're more expensive for me to get their attention, that's fine because they're going to click on my ad and they're going to convert into a lead. Those are the numbers that we're looking at in the background. We're looking for that conversion data. And based on the interest overlays that perform, we input those so that we know that you're getting the best conversion numbers rather than just getting maximum exposure, because that doesn't benefit you.
So now, if I hear and understand you correctly, Flow is giving me the option to save me 3 to 4 days on trying to create a nice little template at a click of a button. You're also making it very easy for me to, at a click of a button, move it onto a platform. You're also becoming a kind of the marketing guru as far as giving me the advice without having to speak to me to who's my target audience and making sure that you're taking the best interest, well, in the money that I'm actually spending. So I'm getting the most value for my buck. How does Flow actually make money on this?
Cool. I just want to add to that, and we're giving you a competitive advantage because think about it,
Absolutely.
when you sign your mandate with your clients and you say, I've just put your ad on social media, which means it's on all of these different platforms. On top of it's on Facebook, it's on Instagram. I mean, let me quickly show you over here. It's actually going to all of these different placements over here. So when you run your ad, so let's say this ad, for example, this is everywhere where it's going. Facebook Marketplace, Instagram Messenger, you name it. People are seeing the ad in that place. To answer Stuart's question, how do we make money out of this? Is there is a percentage of the ad spend that goes towards Flow. So that is, instead of charging you a marketing fee or a service fee or anything like that, a percentage of the ad spend is allocated to Flow. But our, how can I say, dedication or attention to the ads is you will always see your number based on the total amount that you've spent. And our commitment is to still give you performance based on that. So if you compare our ad to any other ad that someone does for you, it would be in the same ballpark. And that's the kind of commitment we make from our side.
Fantastic. So if I'm going to put out X, I know that I'm not going to get an additional bill of X plus Y, Z, A, B, and C.
No.
The amount that I'm putting in is all included with all of those services actually included. So that gives you that nice little pro rata that you're going in. So we've spoken about properties, and I know that that's a big part of our business is we get a listing. We want to make sure that we can start building up a buyer base and, getting as much interest, same as if we renting a property and running it from there. But there's another side of flow, which I actually personally feel, and it's the reason why I've left it to the end, is probably the most important: the agent themselves. The agent themselves is the most important person. It's their brand. Now, they've got options. As you said, they can go take a dustbin on the corner of a robot and actually put their face up onto the dustbin. Not saying that it's a bad idea,
Mm-mm.
because you know what? Some of the Joburg robots, you could sit there for an hour, which means you're going to be staring at it for about an hour. But what is it? What is it that Flow does for the agent on their brand? How can you help them on that side?
So that within our system is referred to as a flow brand ad. So very, very convenient naming function. But it is essentially that. It's brand awareness for you as an agent. And like Stuart alluded to, it is the most important one, is top of mind awareness. And the reason why we emphasize it so much is because when you're top of mind, you're not only keeping your competition at bay, but you're staying within your client's attention span for when they decide to make the move. So think about a seller, for example. Like I'm actually right now in the process of selling my one apartment that I was renting out. I had massive headaches with tenants that they just weren't paying on time, and it was just a complete schlep. And eventually said to my wife, "I'm selling. I'm done. I can't do it anymore." And it took me about 3 months to make that decision. And it was actually quite interesting how we went from preaching this and how this is something that's so important, and being in the shoes of a person who makes that decision and realizing that it is essentially that's how your mindset works. Is for 3 months I was pondering on this, and when I eventually made that decision, I made the decision and phoned the person that I have my trust in as a seller, someone that I trust will make the sale for me. And that is essentially what you're trying to do with this top of mind awareness. You want that person, when they take that step and make that decision, you're the first person they think of. When they think of selling, they think of you. When they think of letting out their property, they think of you. Even if it comes to buying, there are some people who maybe their ideal purchase method isn't going via Property 24 or via seeing ads on Facebook. They're still traditional in the sense that they'll phone an agent and say, this is kind of the budget I'm looking for. These are the kind of areas I'm looking at. Help me find a property. You get those types of buyers as well. The top of mind awareness helps you achieve that. Collectively, across all of the different types of transactions you'll do, it's the top that can bring in the most business for you. Now, a brand advert functions slightly differently to how a fuel ad will function. I'm just quickly pulling one up so I can show you guys. Here we go. Let me share my screen. So firstly, you'll notice that the creative has, oh, I need to share the right tab. There we go. The creative has shifted from focusing on a property that's for sale rather to the agent themselves. So over here, for example, we've got Andre, and you can see that he's speaking about being the local property expert. That's a great way to position yourself. You are the local property expert. He's gone quite wide here. He is focusing on Durbanville, but I mean, there's not anything wrong with that. We can see that he's got a potential audience of 373,000 people, and he's looking at people between the ages of 25 and 60. Now, instead of our ad, if you remember the previous example I showed you, over here it was saying buyers. Now it's open. So anyone who's interested in property, whether it be buying, selling, letting, or leasing, anything like that, this ad is going out and targeting them. And you can see over here, this ad has generated 46,000 views for him from 23,000 unique people. And this is a very important thing to bring across, is you don't want that unique person to only see your ad once. They're going to see it once, they're going to see it for 3 seconds, they're going to forget about it. You want them to see your ad once a week for 3 months. You want to be stuck in their head that they can't forget you. So think about the wimpy ads. I'm going to say when I was younger, and it will give away my age, but when I was younger, we had those wimpy ads where the guy and the girl were flirting with each other, and the guy was saying, for example, macchiato and cremicino and all kinds of stuff like that. That is an ad that's burned into my brain that I will remember till the day that I die. And that's essentially what you want to do here, is you want to the person to see the ad so many times that they can see your face at night when they go to bed, so that you know when they make that decision, they make it with you. And what's very, very cool about this one is not only is he getting that awareness like you would have with the bin advert that Stuart mentioned earlier, you're also getting the call to action. Someone sees the ad, they click contact us. They go through, for example, here we can see Andre used his PropCon landing page. They're going through to his PropCon landing page, they're filling in the information. Andre has a lead that's in his database that he can work with now. So it's awareness, and you're still getting your lead generation on top of that.
Brilliant. And we know that your brand, which is your face, is the most important part of it. But now there is a bit of a difference between a brand ad and a fuel ad, in the sense that your fuel ad, if I understand correct, is if I put X amount and I choose X amount of days and then it's finished. Whereas a brand ad works differently. Just explain the fees, how they operate in a different way between the fuel and the brand.
Sure. So the fuel campaigns, like Stuart mentioned, are based on a limited period of time. The entry budget that we recommend is 450 Rand for 3 days. From there, you can scale it 9 days, 14 days, etc. You can also put in your own custom budget and duration. For brand ads, it's a subscription model. You set it up and it runs month to month, and you can cancel it at any time. The reason why is because your objective is completely different. You're not trying to do a short burst of views building up to a show house, for example. You want that continuous top of mind awareness, like I mentioned, for at least 3 months. So you want that ad to run for a longer period. For that reason, we recommend having it on a subscription model where it can run concurrently.
Brilliant. So there you got the understanding between the fuel, which is about taking that property and igniting it into the actual atmosphere, going through the meta universe and landing in your buyer's lap. They're going to be sitting there, they're going to be scrolling, and they're going to see that particular advert. Across to, well, you need to get properties with the actual brands. You've got those brands that you can actually build up. You can actually start to get more people to be more aware of yourself. And as Arthur has said, 3 months is the minimum. And this is coming from stats that I've actually researched myself. If you go and put out an advert just for 1 month, people forget about it. It takes 3 months for somebody to actually recognize it. And the reason for it is because that people are swiping so fast that they're just seeing snapshots of your particular brand. That's why you've got to do it on a repetitive nature. And then you'll find thereafter, you'll never want to stop, because you will be getting calls. You will be getting people starting to get those inquiries. So, Arthur, the journey that Flow has taken has been absolutely amazing. I mean, where you've come from to where you guys are now, I always refer to you guys as the OGs in this particular space. Where to next? We speak about the Meta, Instagram, Facebook. Where to next? What's next from Flow?
So we actually have something quite exciting that's in the works for eXp South Africa specifically. I don't want to get too technical, but just for a bit of context and background, a lot of you may know that the feed of your listings, your syndication that took place, was via a company called Prop Data. That has been recently changed to PropCon. We were one of the first suppliers to be notified, because obviously there's quite a bit in the background that needs to happen for all of this to take place. I mean, there's thousands of listings that are coming through from eXp South Africa to us. I'm using the reference over here that you can see all of the listings feeding through to us. Why is this important? I took this as the opportunity to swap eXp South Africa over from Ad Builder V1, our original one, to Ad Builder V2. Ad Builder V2 allows you to still create your fuel campaigns and your brand campaigns as you normally would. Nothing changes there. But we've now opened it up where we can do so much more. So right now, you're seeing Facebook over here. Actually, as of, I think it was Friday late afternoon, I received the Google templates from our design team. So those are actually going to go to Kanya later today for approval. And what that will mean is you are able to then set up your ads on Google as well. So you can run your campaigns on either Meta or Google, or you can even do a combination of both, which is really, really cool. On top of that, it also opened up the functionality for carousel ads, which are also in development with our dev team. So what that means is instead of just promoting one listing, you can now set up a carousel with 10 of your listings. If you are specializing in Springs in Johannesburg, for example, you've got 10 listings in Springs, you can advertise all of them in a single ad instead of having to set up multiple ads, for example. So quite a few exciting things that are happening in terms of just expanding the product and making it more moldable for each person based on their specific needs. But I'm quite excited for Google. I think Google is going to be quite cool for people to utilize. And that's around the corner. We just need to go through that approval process.
Well, it's always amazing. When I come into these particular sessions, I didn't have a conversation with Arthur to know what's coming out into the future. So I'm so glad that you did have something to share with me. But I absolutely think it's so cool. As much as we've gone through this migration from the prop data back end to the prop con on the back end side of it, it's allowed us to add these new features and almost create a refreshed look, which is exactly what we want here at eXp. So I want to now take it out to the actual Q&A. Unless there's anything final that you've got hidden in that little back seat, or maybe one of those secret individuals have popped their head out of that locked up room and actually told you, hey, by the way, Arthur, guess what? Is there anything else that you're wanting to add or close before I jump into a quick Q&A?
Definitely. I think it's just always important to highlight the vouchers that are coming from eXp South Africa, especially because it's such a big thing. No other supplier across the globe is doing what eXp South Africa is doing in terms of handing out vouchers to agents to utilize, because what it means is that you can actually try out our software without it costing you a cent, and you're getting a free ad out of it. There are certain criteria that need to be met based on the number of registrations you've done in a month, or if you've applied for an open house voucher. Either way, your best person to chat to, I'll put an email address in the chat, but Kanya at the eXp head office, she'll be able to guide you, but you can definitely reach out to her to find out more about the vouchers specifically.
Perfect. Well, I think Kanya is on this particular call. I did see her drop a
Aha.
note in the actual chat box. So you can always get out. And remember, if you do have any difficulties, you must always just pop an email through to help@expsouthafrica.co.za. And just in the subject line, just put their flow fuel vouchers or flow vouchers, something of that, because that will then automatically be directed through to Kanya, and she will then definitely be able to respond to you. So email is in the actual chat box. So I do see that there is a question. I'm having trouble with my Flow Living. I can't log in. Now, I know that we've gone through this particular migration, and I'm almost certain that the Okta tile has been updated to actually log in. And that's been tested. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah. Okta definitely still does work, and you can still log into Flow directly. So both of those remain exactly the same. I've just asked that the email address be sent to us, because the best way for me to test it, it's going to be really difficult to go off a message alone. The best way for me to test it is to receive that email address. I can go and make sure that the profile is there. There are listings connected to it, and then we can troubleshoot it from there.
Absolutely. So that's actually a great question. If I've got no listings, is my profile active?
That's a good point. So if you've never used Flow before and you do not have any listings on PropCon, you will not have a Flow a profile. The system is triggered to create a profile when your first listing comes through. However, your details are within PropCon. So if you reach out to us and say, hey, Arthur, can you please activate my profile? We simply activate it, and it's available for you to use immediately, which means you can still go and use the brand campaign functionality. Obviously, you can't do Flow Fuel without any listings, but you can still run your brand campaign. But it's simply a case of reaching out to us to activate it for you.
Absolutely. And that's exactly where I was going to lead on to. So I'm a brand new agent. I don't have any listings, but I'd like to start doing the branding side of it. I can still do that. If I click on that Okta tile, if it does come up with an error, just email through to support@flowplatform.com. Thank you for changing the actual URL. I would have gone with the old one, but
It's fine.
it will all come through to the same place.
It will still redirect to us. We've just changed our domain, but it will still come through to us if you use the old one.
Fantastic. So support@flowplatform.com. Send an email through and their team will be able to go through. Make sure that your email address, everything's in place. If everything's there, they can obviously set up and correct so that you can get into building your brand, which I think is one of the most important parts of your business. It's the investment that really gives you the highest return of investment that you could ever spend. Right. So, any other questions? I know that was the only question that really jumped into the actual chat box. But if you do have any other questions, I do have the microphones unmuted. So, if you want, just pop up that little hand and unmute yourself. You can ask Arthur a question directly. There we go. There's a hi, Arthur. What is the cost for the monthly subs for the brand building, please? And I know that this is on a flexible, I think there's 3 different levels.
Yes, that's correct. So we've got if I remember the terminology correct, it's Light, Pro, and Expert. It's 950 Rand, 1,500 Rand, and I think 2,700 Rand. I just want to double check for us quickly. While we wait for the other questions to populate, I can actually show you guys. So here we go. Between our 2 options, if we select brand over here and we go start, let's very quickly go through the setup process and we'll get to that pricing structure. So when you log in, you will not need to select an agent. It will automatically select yourself, but I just need to do it because I'm a super admin. Christine is the best, so we're going to say I am the best. I actually know Christine quite well, and she's very, very good at what she does. Here we go. We'll just quickly remove that like so. And just for argument's sake, if Christine was an agent within Sandton, she would obviously focus on the Sandton area. So let's input Sandton over here. We're going to go 3 kilometers. Yes, next. Okie dokes. So on your checkout page, when you're about to publish your ad, you'll be able to have the different types of selections over here. So we'll just have it will need to be a 30-day period. Apologies, that's actually incorrect. Nevertheless, I can actually just do this. By the time we finish the session, it will be updated, fortunately.
See, that's what happens when you're working with the developers. They go, hey, by the way, and they multitask. So, guaranteed, he's got the WhatsApp next to him and he's busy doing the cross-fingering and he's basically sent that message through. And I think by the time we finish the session, it'll be updated.
It is actually amazing. So I come from a marketing background more than a tech background. So tech I've learned as I've joined the business. It's incredibly interesting to see how complicated these pieces of technology are that speaks to each other. So when I say pieces of technology, I'm referring to, for example, PropCon speaking to us, we speaking to Meta. It's truly fascinating, actually. The best. So apologies for having to do this twice, guys. Just remove that. We'll select a dummy page for now.
So, and this is what the great thing is you can actually see live how quick it is to actually set this all up. This is what's so amazing to go through.
So based on your geo-targeting and the package you select, Meta or the system actually pulls the estimated ad views that you're going to get from Meta and provides it over here for you. So you've got Light, Pro, Elite, and then you can also choose to do a monthly or an annual subscription based on that. Last thing I just want to mention in terms of this, the beauty is this isn't set in stone. You're running a campaign for a few months. In 2 weeks' time, you might get a fantastic review from a client that absolutely loved everything that you did. You want to brag about that. you can go in and you can edit this ad, you can load a new image to it, you can tweak it as you see fit. So it's not set in stone, which also makes it a really fantastic option for you if you like to update your brand as you go. If your phone got stolen and you have a new number, for example, you can put in a new number there, all those different types of things. So that's also quite nice to know as well.
Brilliant.
But yeah, to answer the
Brilliant.
question, these are the 3 price points.
So $950 for the basic, $1,500 for the middle, and $2,700. That is per month, and it is an investment in yourself. You'll not find any other company that's grown to where they are without marketing. It's a crucial, crucial part of your business to get that awareness. And as we said in the beginning, everyone is spending time, 3.5 hours a day on social media. That is crazy. 3.5 hours a day on social media. And if you can make sure that you get your brand in front of them every single day, when they come ready to sell or when they know somebody who wants to sell, guess who they're going to make contact with? It's the person that's top of mind. That's the crucial thing with marketing. It's to remain top of mind. Big investments in yourself, and that return, well, you're going to get one property. You'll sell that one property, and guess what? The commission, well, it's going to be a lot more than what you've paid to invest into yourself. Right, great. Thank you so much for that. I see there's no more questions, no more hands. Nobody's asking the questions on these particular sessions. I know that Flo does a session every single month going into the platform so that you can actually experience how to actually go through, convert an idea of a listing onto the social media platforms, and soon to be the Google platform, which I think is also pretty awesome. Also, how to take your brand from where you are right now going, hey, how do I make sure that all 27,000 people that circulate where I want to work know about me, because we know they're going to be on Facebook and social media. Well, now you know how to do it. And you could see it was done. I'm going to say that was within 3 minutes. It was as quick as that. I think the biggest part that takes its time is that little circling where it's just pulling the data to give you the numbers. That's the reason why it takes a little bit longer, because it's not just going to give up a thumbsuck of a number. It's actually going to go and say, hey, let's actually get some actual facts for you so that you can actually see that awareness and build that marketing brand around that. Arthur, it's always an honor and privilege to have you on this particular session. We always have fun, and I know that we're going to be doing more of these particular sessions as we are going into the actual future. But I want to thank you again so much for coming on to this particular session, sharing all about the flowplatform.com. I will remember that, the Flow platform, so that we actually know exactly where it is. Remember, you can jump onto your actual Okta dashboard. You can click on that particular tile. It will take you in, and you can go through the process. If there's any problems with your Flow fuel vouchers, just pop an email through to Kanya or help@expsouthafrica.co.za, just to make sure you, in the subject line, you just say the Flow fuel vouchers, so she's well aware of it. Or alternatively, you can send an email directly through to support@flowplatform.com, and they will then be able to assist you with anything on the back end. Arthur, any final words to close up the session?
I'll leave you with another interesting fact. On top of our high social media utilization in South Africa, we actually have the highest mobile penetration rate in the world. The average person has, I think, 2.2 cell phones in South Africa. So it's just another reason why it's so important for you to be on these different channels where people spend their time. But yeah, other than that, have a fantastic day and happy campaigning, everyone.
Fantastic. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 cell phones. Makes absolute sense.